You're watching a TGM production. Hello. Happy New Year and welcome to 2026. The time is currently 9:53 on New Year's Day 2026. The time was 1 a.m. when the final ever episode of Stranger Things occurred. The final episode that aired. Let's start where it all began. First, let me mention something that I'll never be able to get out of my head ever again. There's certain moments in TV history that get stuck in your head. The first time you ever saw the Dixon of Dr. Green. The first time you ever laid your eyes on your favourite TV show of all time. For me, Doctor Who. Things, memories, and loves never leave. Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, Doctor Who. Puppets, Taskmaster, Blue Peter, Stranger Things. Now, I reviewed over on the main channel, Tom Mason, The War Between the Land and the Sea. The very end, the final scene, whilst Barclay is becoming a fishman, together with a fishwoman. Many thoughts. My thoughts have changed massively since then. Anyway, what happened there was we had a new orchestral arrangement with a new singer for We Can Be Heroes. I think it must be called We Can Be Heroes. I think that's the name of the song by David Bowie, which goes, "We can be heroes for just one day." And the scene, you can picture it, and the music is gorgeous. Now, how does Stranger Things decide we're going to do our final ever end credits scene? Our final ever credits, right? This is the creme de la creme. You've got to say thank you to absolutely everyone that made the last 10/11 years possible in the world of Netflix sci-fi in America, right? What do you do? Well, here's the question. You get the right to David Bowie's version of We Can Be Heroes, but make sure no one subtly notices until you hear the chorus. I don't know the lyrics of the songs, but I noticed that I stood up going, really? 2 dramas in a space of a week and a half, I think. And that's really what we've done, right? That's really what we've done. I know there's no coordination because the war between the land and the sea composed their own orchestral arrangement of it, right? Which is far better, might I add, than the original. But that's because I didn't really know the original. See, if you listen to a song and you go, "Oh yes, I love it," but then you listen to the original, because you find out later on it's an original, you're never gonna like it. That's only because you only listened to the new version, right? So, if you don't like the original, that's because you don't know the original well enough. Anyway, so now let's travel all the way back to 2015. I don't think I watched it the first day it came out, but here's how I discovered Stranger Things. It was Halloween night. Personally, I can't stand Halloween, right? I don't like it, I don't think it's great. It's an American thing, so if America likes it, fair enough, but no. My brother was going out with his friends to play bowling, right? And there's a bowling area not far away from us, from my house. And I was younger than I am now. And so I'm sat in the back of the car, wrapped up in a blanket, with my iPad. I've downloaded Stranger Things. I'm assuming I was the right age. I think I can't remember if Stranger Things is a 15 now, because obviously you can change the age rating as the series goes on. So I'm sat there and I'm watching it, and I'm hooked. Not in this room, but in another room of this house, we have the Lego upside down Stranger Things Lego set. And in my time of getting into the world of filmmaking, television making, and all this, right, I have heard the word Stranger Things not said that often because when I'm at uni now, university, and one of the modules I was doing last year, as in the first half of 2025, we looked at the pitch deck, I think it must have been, for Stranger Things. It was called something else, and we read about it in a script writing module, and then in a TV drama module, we looked at it again, but obviously none of it's coordinated because you choose your modules on the course I'm doing. So for that, they looked at it in another angle. So in the space of a few months, I learned different aspects of why Stranger Things worked from a script writing point of view and why Stranger Things worked from a drama point of view. They didn't show any of the clips because it's showcasing how a pitch deck works. And I just really like how the Duffer Brothers, I'm assuming they've let that go for free to help people, for educational purposes, or not, I don't know. There's a really cracking documentary. These are just the cliff notes, by the way. There's a really cracking documentary on Netflix about the behind the scenes of the first ever production of the prequel that they did in London before they took it to Broadway, right? And that is cracking, right? Because the way that they make Stranger Things for stage and live theatre is just magical. So hopefully at some point, because I know that they're doing a spin-off-ish animated thing with the Stranger Things cast, I'm hoping they could film a performance of that and get that on Netflix. Because that would be incredible. And I'm assuming they'll do a sequel to that documentary for Broadway, because it's what they hinted to at the end. So let's talk about Stranger Things, the final. We'll start off with the final, because that is one of the most watched. So this video film thing does contain spoilers for the Stranger Things final. It's currently 10 a.m. So the final, was it everything it lived up to? In the UK, we got the final at 1 a.m. on the 1st of January 2026, and from America, I don't know the rest around the world, but I kept on seeing the American time, which was 8 p.m. on the 8th of May, 8th p.m. on the 31st of December 2025. So they got it last year, and we got it this year. So technically, Stranger Things has been on our screen for 10, 11 years. I don't know if you can technically say 11 years if the final episode aired on the first day of the year. Technicality is a problem into play there. So why did I think that Stranger Things deserves the accolades, deserves the love, deserves the power it gets? With the final episode, this does contain spoilers in my next few sentences. The last episode of Series 5, which was episode 7, if that was to be the final episode, that would have been terrible. But luckily, we got an 8th and final episode. It's like Gavin and Stacey, where there's so much building up to this. There's excitement. You've all got theories of what you want to see, right? And the pressure on the Gavin and Stacey lot is there. And they came out and they delivered. They smashed it out the park, right? Gavin, Smithy, Nessa married. Everything was perfect. That was the greatest ending. 20 million people watched it, and it was glorious, right? They had all that pressure, and they hadn't had a special in years, so they had that pressure to make this the best. But with Stranger Things, every series they've got pressure to deliver, because even though they've done 5 series in 10 years, it's the amount of craft that it goes into making this. I'm not too sure why they wanted to air the final episode separately to the last 3 episodes of the final series, which came out in the UK on Boxing Day. I don't know why they decided to do that, but it's no wrong. I think the final had everything it needed to be the best final. The final moments. So, in most good drama, in most sitcoms, they walk away going, in American anyway, we don't do this in Britain. They walk away, and if they're in it's a workplace sitcom or a house sitcom where the main set is a building, they go around and then they turn the light off and go, Oh, brilliant. Oh, brilliant. But the way this ended was in a similar vein to that, due to the fact they were set in the 80s, so it's a similar vein. So it's Mike walking up the steps, 1, 2, 3, walking, and his sister's new friends. I didn't know if they were friends before, but the new friends that they bonded from being in the Upside Down, and now playing D&D. They were just playing, and they finished their campaign. They finished. I don't think it's the exact same campaign as they started back in Series 1, because obviously Max wasn't in Series 1. So it sort of elevated this thing, and if I've got to be honest, it was a brilliant ending. And the credits, calling it a player's manual or whatever, just pure genius. The Duffel Brothers, if you ever see this review, I'm giving you a round of applause. Right? I can tell you what the best British drama is of all time, right? And I can now tell you what the best American science fiction drama is. And it's not the one you think it is. No, it's not Buck Rogers. And no, it's not Lost in Space. No. The original. No, it's not Battlestar Galactica or Stargate. Any of the versions of Stargate. It is Stranger Things. Right? I know it wouldn't be near as good if it was on broadcast television, because Netflix somehow has managed to get the big bucks. So it warrants the streaming world. Could it air on a channel? Possibly. I could see that happening at some point. But who knows? A lot of streaming stuff in the UK is going to broadcast now, so could well happen. Anyway, I think the final showdown between Vecna and the Stranger Things team, is what I'm going to call them, was phenomenal. Because at that point, you had the perfect team, right? You spent 5 series getting together this team, because they have different aspects of the mystery, like that bit needs so you partner with X, Y, and Z, but you're going to meet them later on there. Perfect. I think the team was perfect. The way it went out. Bang! Fire! Brilliant. I just think that Stranger Things overall is a 9 out of 10. Wouldn't be a 10 out of 10, because 10 out of 10 reserves to something. I don't think it should have been split into volumes. 10 out of 10 would have been that you get Series 5, you get Series 5. You don't get Series 5 Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. Because that's a lot of promotion for one series. Alright? Over the span of a few months. No. So, that's why it's a 9 out of 10. I think the premise, all the way back in Series 1, was fantastic. The premise of a missing child turns out he's gone into this place called the Upside Down. And I think that, the catalyst for this series, when they fired it across, going, woo! That is what's going to happen. Works so well. I know I'm being more a little bit skew-wit on this, but roll with me. Do you like the new light? That's my final question. Anyway, so overall, I thought that Stranger Things worked really well. I think there isn't any dull moment. There's obviously a few things that could have been improved, but I think over time those issues were fixed. I think that's what you do, because you give it time between series. You get the whole of the fans' feedback of the fans that love it, the fans that are a little bit, could have been, because they've got time to fix it. I think some of my key favourite moments is every time there's a battle in the Upside Down. I think, and I know it's going to be a cliche answer, but I think the best character is Max. No, he's 11. He's 11. Well, no. 11's the best, my favourite character who's appeared in every single episode. But if we have to talk about my favourite characters that appeared from Series 2 onwards, then it's going to be Max, right? Max's arc in the final series was interesting. I think Max being involved in that bit where Kate Bush sang Running Up the Hill and then she got to number one. Well deserved, by the way. Kate Bush deserved that number one hit. I'm not going to disagree that she didn't deserve it. I do think, I'll be honest, I was watching the final 3 episodes on Boxing Day, and I did think to myself, Kate Bush, can we stop now? I know it's not her really singing, but can we stop it now? Because it was getting a little bit annoying because it's repetitive. Right? The first time, yeah, fair enough. Running up that hill, I'm running up that hill. Wah, wah. Fair enough. Thank you. Well done. But I played it, wah, wah, running up that hill, running up that hill, running up that hill, running up. Played it 4 or 5 times in a row. Give it a rest. I know it's the only way to wake her up, and I know that's how she finds the way out. But really? Do we really need it that many times? No, we didn't need it that many times. And you sort of think running up that hill was a good gesture at that point. I didn't think it needed to be utilised all over the internet, apparently. So I don't know. Apparently it was. That's how you get to the morning these days, in the charts in the UK at least. So I think that there's Eddie. I can't think of his last name. I'm sort of glad he wasn't there at the end. Just rather I wasn't too keen on him. You have enough of the characters that these kids shouldn't have been friends with because of the circumstances in American school culture. I just do think at that point that it didn't need to happen, is what I'm saying. He didn't need to exist. The actor was brilliant in the role, might I add, but that character didn't need to exist. It was like, yes, the show's rock and roll, yes, it's rock and roll, but we don't need it to be rock and roll, rock and roll. I think the cinematography of it, if we're going down that route, which we are now, was gorgeous. I do think the reason why these kids and the cast are never going to remember the show as well as you or I is because they've probably never seen it in the way we're watching it. They've seen it green screen, tennis balls, and all the tricks to make sure that they get the best visual effects. I know the vector was real, as in it was prosthetics. If you're into the world of Doctor Who, you know all about prosthetics and how many hours that takes. 4, 5, 7, 8 hours. So I know the vector was real. So they actually physically met the vector we saw on the screen. But I think a lot of it would have been green screen. So hopefully, someone has asked in one of the interviews to the cast of Stranger Things if they've ever actually watched it back to see the final cut. Because that's what I would do. If I was in their shoes, in Doctor Who or in any other TV program that required a heavy load of CGI, I would then watch it via visual effects and CGI. I would watch it back, not because, oh yes, I want to see my performance, I was amazing, wouldn't I? Oh yes, I was amazing. Not because of that at all. I would watch it to sort of get that feeling of that's what it looked like at the end. Or I would ask for a rough cut, or I would ask for some visual evidence so I can see what the final outcome would be, because I think that if you really think about it, that sort of enhances your experience as an actor. So I think that 11 got better and sort of better as the series went on. I think the final version of 11 was brilliant. I think the version of 11 where she was wearing that blonde wig sort of was a little bit odd. And I think when we first met 11, it was slightly odd, but I think that the character just... It's like a sitcom. If you cancel it, because the character's terrible, because the show's terrible, right? You need to give it time. And I think that's what Stranger Things has done. I was a fan of it to begin with, but I really am a fan of it now. Because you've sort of let it develop. And I think that's what most TV companies need to do, to let these things develop. So overall, I think that the show was excellent. It had elements of highs and lows. My favourite moment ever in Stranger Things. Well, if I have to say Series 5 wise, because I don't think I can think of an ever moment. Series 5 wise, I think it's the whole Rockin' Robin bit. I sort of appreciate that, and I think that's incredible. It'll inspire a new generation because I watch TV shows to get inspired by the way they're doing it, the way they're making it, the way they shot things, the way they use certain elements. So I think that element of Rockin' Robin will inspire people. I think Robin's introduction in the first place reminded me a lot of How I Met Your Mother, so it's reminiscent of American culture, which is excellent for that time, for the 80s. Because there's a bit where, I can't remember the character, but she goes, "Let's all go to the mall today." Yeah, if you know that bit, then well done. I don't remember that bit. I do, a bit of it. Anyway, so I think that adding these characters in that later become really vital towards the end were brilliant. I think the first series had a lot going for it, and you felt, if you'd seen It, 2017-16 It, then you will see that they were trying to capitalise on that sort of Stranger Things-esque world. And I think that a lot of TV will utilise Stranger Things as this next delivery point, will utilise this next high-end status. I think every shot we've ever had from Series 1 to Series 5 of The Upside Down has been wonderful. The whole scene where Winona Ryder's character, Joyce Byers, has got the alphabet flickering, Sesame Street parodied it. And if Sesame Street are parodying it, then you know you've got a hit on your hands, right? And I love that scene because it's like, you can see that she's losing the plot, but you can also see that she's clocking on to what's going on. Usually, in teen dramas or kids shows, it's like, "Oh no, we're gonna need to save the world. Shh, don't tell your parents." And I'm glad that this was, don't tell your parents for a while, but then your parents get involved, because then it's about them. Then they're in the thick of it, and you have to include them. And I just think that adds to the value, because it means that you're not watching these kids try and save the world, you're watching the kids, the parents, the police officer, these people that are made for this world to save it. And you just feel proud at the end. You're like, well done. And you just can see the love and the excitement they've got for saving the world. Yes, I've saved the world. Yes, I've saved the world. Woohoo! We've saved the world. And that echoes throughout every single time they manage to solve another piece of the puzzle. And at the end, emotional ending, but happy, hopefully. What I do want from Stranger Things now, other than the animated series, I want a tie-in book. I want a book written by the Duffer Brothers to explain what happened to Eleven next. Spoiler warning, what I'm about to say does contain a huge spoiler for the very end of Stranger Things, Series 5, Episode 7, the final. Pretend that, Eleven's apparently dead, but then they make it out that she might be alive. So I think that could be tied up, sort of, a little bit more in a book. We don't need to do TV, we don't need to do a whole other thing. We could just do, the book can be from the moment they decided how she was going to survive it all, 11, and talk a bit about where she left. That could just be a book, or a comic, or a audio drama, or a podcast, or whatever. Not a TV thing, but it could just be an additional media for anyone that wants to know what happened to 11 next. Because I think that would help tie up the story even further, and it would just give fans a little bit more knowledge of what happened to 11 next. In the world of Doctor Who, you said Big Finish, fill in the gaps, or go, whatever happened to that character next, or what's happened to that character after that moment. So I think Stranger Things could adapt that, but do it in the book, really, so that people that want to know can know, but it's not essential to know. You don't have to know. It's up to you if you want to know. So, overall, I give Stranger Things a 9 out of 10. And I love how it's resurrected people's love for 1980s and that period of time in culture, not just in America, but around the world, and that period of time with music, television, Dungeons and Dragons, and all this. And I think it's done a world of good for television, and I can't wait to see what the Duffer Brothers do next. It's just incredible. Have you seen the prequel stage play? Let me know in the comments of wherever you're watching this. Thank you for watching my review. My favourite moment, just before I go, obviously, it's any time Rockin' Robin was doing the Rockin' Robin stuff. I just think that was glorious, but I think it's got to be the bit. It's got to be every time. It's got to be the bit when Eleven disappeared in the must have been the second series now. I think it was, because you get the sort of dramaticness of everything's stopped, everything's solved. They think, but where's 11? And it's the drama, because now you know that Mike and 11 have fallen in love. It's like, what's going to happen next? Ooh. And I just think that ending just sort of perfectly ended, and waiting a while to find out, it was such a perfect way of doing it.